Okay, so this is programming assignment 7 and 8. So I'm going to go through the requirements for this. All right, so after graduation, you started working at an IT consulting company. You've been asked to create an object-oriented solution to track all of the company's servers. The network you manage has a maximum capacity of 200 servers, so that's going to be the size of your server array. The solution must allow for a new server to be added. Okay, it also needs to display a report. Yep. The servers can only be one of two types, file server and web server. All right, so we'll get to that in a second, the difference between a file server and a web server. But for all of the servers, you must be able to track the server name, operating system installed, and there's specific values for that, the hard drive capacity, and the level of usage on a scale of 0 to 100. All right, so in other words, there's going to be some kind of a server class, and there's going to be a server name, operating system, hard drive capacity, and level of usage attributes for that class. Okay. And then this last line says no two servers on the network may have the same server name, so you're going to have to do some validation. This is going to be a little bit trickier validation in that you're not going to be able to just necessarily do that in the setter. And so I might create a video on exactly the difficulties of that, but that's just something to keep in mind, that no two servers on the network may have the same server name. So in other words, when you're creating a new server, you're going to have to go check all of the other servers that you've created and make sure that the name that the user has just typed in is not the same name as one of the other names that they typed in previously. Okay, and so there's ways to do that. So for all of the servers, they have this name, operating system, hard drive capacity, and level of usage. But then a file server has some additional specific things, and a web server has different additional things. So basically, the way that it's going to work is that server is going to be your base class, okay? And it might be abstract. You might want to read or watch the lectures on abstract classes to decide if server should be an abstract class or not. But you're going to have this base class for servers, and then you're going to have a subclass for file servers and web servers. And so it says file servers require tracking the number of users with user accounts up to 5,000. So there's just this one additional attribute for file servers. And then for web servers, you must also track a list of web server software supported by the server, up to 4 items. So in other words, web server is going to have an additional attribute of, it's going to be an array of 4 strings. And that array of 4 strings has to have, well, I should say it has an array of up to 4 strings. It could have an array of only 2 strings, because it says the web server must support at least 2 pieces of software. So it's going to be an array of anywhere from size 2 to 4, depending on how many pieces of software the user types in. Okay, so this is a array as instance variables kind of issue here. And then there's some information here about calculating the usage. So usage was one of the things right here that all servers track on a scale of 0 to 100. And so they say that for file servers, this is the formula for calculating what the usage is for a file server. And for a web server, this is a different formula for calculating its usage. Okay, so you're going to have probably some kind of method overriding kind of situation right here. Okay, and so once again, we're creating one of these menu-driven applications, so you should be able to reuse a lot of your, at least the ideas for a lot of your code from the last couple of programming assignments to build this menu. And so you have to add the server, display all server information, display average usage by server type, and display highest usage server by server type. So The add server option should allow a user to select the type of server they wish to enter, so either a file server or a web server, and enter in all the information. The user should be informed if the server was added successfully or not. The system should notify if the maximum server limit is reached. Okay, so this is the same as all of the other assignments. Okay, and then the display all server information should display a well-formatted report summarizing the servers on the network. And so this right here is an example of what it might look like. It doesn't have to look exactly like this. So in here we see that we've got the server name, so this FSVR100, the type, so this is either going to be file server or web server, the operating system, so here we have Windows, so it can be either Windows, Linux, or OS X, the hard drive size in terabytes, so I'm not sure exactly what this 212 stuff is, but at any rate, the hard drive size would be in there. Maybe that's 2 terabytes. And then the usage, well, no, I don't know what this 2 is. So we'll just say that we have the name, the type, the operating system. I don't know what that 2 is, so forget that. The hard drive size, so 100 terabytes, and okay, nope, I guess I'm actually wrong about this. So this is the hard drive size, 2 terabytes. The usage is a number between 0 and 100, so the usage is 100. And then this one has 3,500 user accounts, and because it's not a web server, you just list not applicable for web servers. So then for the next line, we have WSVR050. This is the server name. The server type, it's a web server. This is the operating system. It's got 1 terabyte of hard drive space. The usage, again, the usage calculations were on the previous page. So the usage is 40. The number of user accounts is not applicable since this is a web server. And then the web server software is listed here at the end. Okay, so this is an example of how the report might look. And then at the end, it tells you the total number of servers that there are, and it adds up the hard drive capacity. Okay, and so the display average usage by server type is just going to show the average usage for file servers and the average usage for web servers. So in other words, it's going to loop through all of these items. Okay, it's going to take this usage number, so 100, the 40, the 1,000, and the 60, and, the 100, the 40, the 50, and the 60. It's going to add up the usage and then divide by the number that there are. So, like in this example, for the file servers, this one has a usage of 100, this one has a usage of 50, so the average usage for 2 servers of 150 would be 75, okay? And same for the web servers. Okay, so that's how the display average usage by server type option will look. And then the display highest usage server by server type is going to be, again, a similar thing where you're going to loop through all these items. You're going to figure out which server has the highest, which file server has the highest usage, and which web server has the highest usage, and you're going to display that information in this report. Okay, and then the quit allows you to quit. Notice this line right here, all servers, regardless of type, should be stored in a single array, so that's the same as the other assignments. And it says, as a matter of good practice, your class definitions should include an equals and toString method. So toString we've talked about extensively. Oh, and it says whether or not your working solution uses them. So they have to be there whether you even use them or not. So toString we've talked about a lot. Equals we will talk about this week in lectures. So you can read or watch the videos on equals. Okay, and in the other requirements, this is all the same boilerplate stuff that's in the other solutions, with the exception of this line right here. It says your solution must demonstrate the concepts of abstraction, inheritance, and polymorphism. So it's telling you that you have to use abstraction, all right? So that is a clue that if we go back here, we're probably going to have an abstract class server. So for all servers, so you're going to have an abstract class server that has this information in this paragraph. Then you're going to have a subclass called a file server, and then another subclass called web server. So you're going to have three files, server.java, file server.java, and web server.java. And then, of course, you're going to have your implementation class, so that's going to be a fourth class. So, like always, programming assignment 7 is the documentation exercise. And so, again, because there you have to list and describe the purpose of each class, okay, I just said there's going to be a base class of server, a subclass of file server, another subclass of web server, and your implementation class. There's going to be 4 different classes in this assignment that you're going to need to account for. Okay? For the data definition classes, when you create this UML class diagram, there should be 3 boxes. One for server, one for file server, and one for web server. Okay, and then we have the table. All right, so that's basically the assignment, and there will be, I think like for assignment 5 and 6, I'm going to actually work out the solution and then post a video of it actually running so you can kind of see what it looks like. Although I think it's spelled out pretty well here. I'll do that and there will be a video posted on that.